Bud Spencer and Terence Hill, one of cinema's most iconic duos in the 1970s and 80s. They starred in 18 movies that thrilled and entertained audiences of all ages for decades. Of course, if you're looking for a Slaps and Beans 2 review, you probably know who they are and that this game is made for you. If you don't know who they are, and you're only here because of the recent beat-em-up revival, you really ought to go and familiarise yourself with their filmography first. Spencer and Hill became famous for their light-hearted slapstick action comedies, adventures that covered the wonderful years of spaghetti westerns through to more modern fare. Well, modern for back in the late 80s, that is. Now, Slaps and Beans 2 brings the pair back for another digital adventure in the style of the classic movies they made. Slaps and Beans 2 is the epitome of the made-by-fans for fans design. As with the original, this isn't just a tie-in, but a love letter to the work of Spencer and Hill. That developers Trinity team are huge fans of the duo is evident in every aspect of the production, and what they've created amounts to an interactive beat-em-up movie, replete with crazy story, plenty of cutscenes, and tons of slaps to go around. It plays out like a movie saga, picking up right after the end of its predecessor. Our heroes have been stranded in Africa, and they now need to find a way home. Cue a banana hijacking racket, cases of mistaken identity, a madman with world domination plans, and you have an international adventure of gut-busting proportions. What separates Slaps and Beans from so many other beat-em-ups and brawlers is the focus on story, which is to say there's a proper narrative flow here that pulls you organically from one level and situation into the next. Well, as logically as a game featuring a banana-stealing racket can. There are a lot of in-game cutscenes and voice dialogue too, with the writers trying, to varying degrees of success, to emulate the tone and humour of the movies. While not all the jokes land, there's enough here to ground you in this adventure's light-hearted absurdity. Combat is, as it should be, the entertaining highlight. There are plenty of interactable objects to use, such as wooden poles and beer glasses, while a fair amount of the environment can be destroyed or used to pull off specific moves, such as Hill's horse kick. Combat does lack the flashiness we've come to associate with modern beat-em-ups, but this is due to the game being faithful to the duo's movie fighting style, and changing that would definitely be a big no-no. The moveset is just large enough to add depth to the game, without sacrificing its easy-to-understand playstyle. The game throws tons of enemies at you, but there are enough power-ups and health pickups to see you through. That said, you will want to keep an eye on your health bar in the later sections of the game, when it's easier to get swarmed. Thankfully, Slaps and Beans 2 can be played in 2-player co-op, but if you can't find someone else to join you on this adventure, the AI player does a pretty good job of taking care of both itself and enemies. To keep things fresh and break up the pacing, scattered throughout the game are a variety of mini-games. Like the jokes, they fall into the hidden miss category as well, but once unlocked, they also have their own section in the menu screen where you can play them with 2 to 4 players. Now visually, Slaps and Beans 2 is a gorgeous looking and lavishly animated example of pixel art. The environment design is beautiful and filled to the brim with plenty of little details, while the character animation is wonderfully expressive. If there is one caveat, on the Nintendo Switch at least, it's that it gets a little hard to make out what's happening on screen when the view zooms out during some of the larger fights. It gets tough to tell who's who, and some slowdown also occurred. Now a special shout out needs to go to the game's sound design, which is full of fantastic slaps, punches, and the satisfying oofs that baddies let out after being conked on the head. The soundtrack is absolutely stunning, and captures the era of the movies perfectly, with many tunes staying in my head long after I had powered off the Switch. When it comes to the voice acting, it's also on the hit and miss side. I can't deny that I heard most of the spoken dialogue in my head delivered by the original dub actors, as the voice acting, or rather its delivery, has that recorded in a sound booth feel. It lacks the organic chemistry of two people standing side by side and bantering mid-fight, as there's always a slight delay between the voice clips. Now, some presentation and writing gripes aside, Slaps and Beans 2 is still made for a very specific audience and is excellent in that regard. It's still a satisfying beat-em-up that fans of the genre might enjoy, but it'll really fire on all cylinders for fans of the Spencer and Hill films. All of the jokes may not land, but the beautiful pixel art, silly story, and fun combat make this a nostalgic trip worth taking. If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel as it helps us grow.